You just don't have mana yet, Danny corrected, her blank expression replaced with a look of intense, almost fierce determination. I bet everyone in Samoria has a mana core. Maybe. It's like a spiritual muscle you have to find and train. Yours is probably just underdeveloped. I can feel it, though it's there, buried deep. The conviction in her voice was staggering, so absolute that it made my own skepticism waver. For a moment, the strange, flickering firelight seemed to dim, casting her face in stark shadows that made her appear less like a flighty woman and more like a prophet. The world outside the farm, the one I knew, the one built on seasons and reason, felt miles away. My voice, which I always prided myself on for its clarity and rationality, felt suddenly clumsy and foreign. Could she really see something inside me? Something I had dismissed as mere metaphor? The idea was preposterous, yet her words lodged themselves in my mind like a burr, irritating and impossible to ignore. I sighed and watched as Danny's face lit up with a mischievous grin. "Oh, but what if it is an actual thing?" she whispered, leaning forward conspiratorially. "What if your mana is just a dormant wellspring of magic waiting for a spark?" I shook my head, my skepticism firmly in place. "That's just a fairy tale, Danny. Hard work and dedication are real. Magical sparks are not." She didn't seem to hear me. Her eyes, wide and full of an unshakable belief, she scanned my face as if searching for something. "You're a merchant, right? Your inner strength, your mana, is what guides your cart and tells you which items to sell. That's your magic, whether you believe it or not." Her words struck a chord deep within me, a flicker of an old, forgotten dream that I had long dismissed as childish fantasy. For the first time, I wondered if there was more to my work than just traveling. She looked at me expectantly, her small, calloused hands resting on the hem of her dress, as if waiting for me to affirm her whimsical theory. "Mana is just a story," I said, my voice softer than I intended. "It's a way for people to believe they have power over things they can't control." But the words felt hollow and unconvincing even to me. I thought back to a harvest years ago, when our fields had near withered under a blight, and to the desperate prayer we had all offered one night around the table, a whisper to an old forgotten god of the soil. In the morning, the leaves were green and vibrant, and the soil was rich with life. I could almost feel pulsing beneath my bare feet. It was a coincidence, I had told myself then. Yet, sitting before this girl, the memory of that strange and sudden salvation stirred a warmth in my chest I hadn't felt in years. The faint warmth spread through me, a sensation I hadn't felt since I was a child, before the harsh realities of the road had ground my fanciful notions into dust. The familiar rustle of my cart's tarp and the scent of my thrown-together soup from the pot hanging over the fire suddenly felt different, imbued with a purpose I had never considered. "I don't think so," I all but mumbled. "I'm a failure. My mana has guided me to ruin." I looked at Dani as I would a naive girl spouting nonsense, but a part of me wondered if she is really a sage who had just revealed the hidden world within my own. We went to sleep soon after that, Danny on my fur pad, cuddled under my worn blanket under my cart. I wrapped myself in my spare coat and fell into a deep sleep leaning against its wheel. I slept better than I had in years, the kind of deep, dreamless sleep that seemed to mend the frayed edges of my soul. When I awoke with the morning sun warming my face, the usual ache in my bones was muted, replaced by a strange sense of anticipation. I sat up, pushing the spare coat aside, and found Danny already awake, her bright eyes fixed on me. She was sketching in the dirt with a stick, not a child's idle doodling, but tracing intricate patterns that pulsed with a faint, ephemeral light before the wind erased them. The sight of it sent a jolt of alarm through me, but not the fear you would expect. It was more like a spark of recognition, a forgotten piece of a puzzle clicking into place. I looked at the cart, at the worn tarp and the rusty hinges, and wondered if I had been looking at my life through a dusty, cracked window all along. Perhaps my failures weren't proof of my ruin, but simply detours on a different kind of path. This spark of recognition blossomed into a quiet, profound certainty. I felt the low hum of it in my teeth, a vibration echoing a memory I couldn't grasp, like trying to recall a word on the tip of my tongue. I looked at Danny's hands, at the stick still held loosely in her fingers, and saw not a woman from another place and time, but a conduit for something vast and ancient. Her patterns in the dirt were symbols that had been waiting for me all along. The failures that had defined my past no longer felt like dead ends but necessary turns, each one leading me here, to this quiet road with a girl who could draw starlight from the soil. The rusty cart, with its squeaking wheels and patched tarp, no longer felt like a prison but a vessel, carrying me toward a future I was only just beginning to see. I was no longer a man in ruins, but a traveler, embarking on a different kind of path. "What is that?" I asked with wonder. "What are those symbols? What is that glow?" Her eyes still bright, she replied, "It's mana. I told you. I woke up last night and sat and meditated for hours, searching, reaching inward. Then I felt it." She quickly rose to her knees and continued. "I could feel it in the pit of my stomach. Then when I felt I had found it, I started trying to move it." She started to smile as she talked. "It was actually easier than you will believe, but once I identified it and made it real, I could slowly channel it to my hands. I didn't know what to do with it for a while, but once I grabbed this stick, it became very clear to me. I just started drawing." She began a new symbol then. "I don't know what any of this is, but it's as if I am not really doing it. I need to figure it out, and I need your help." Danny stared, mesmerized by the intricate, glowing symbol taking shape on the ground. It pulsed with a faint, steady light, not from a reflection, but from within the lines themselves. The air around us felt suddenly warmer, charged with an energy that tingled on my skin. "You need my help," I finally stammered, tearing my eyes from the pattern to meet hers. Her expression was a mix of exhilaration and terror. "This isn't an artistic impulse," she insisted, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The stick, the power, it's doing what it wants. I feel like a puppet, and every time I draw, it's a new, alien thought being forced into existence. I need to understand what this means before I draw something we can't undo." Her hands began to tremble, and she quickly dropped the stick, snatching her fingers back as if burned. The symbol on the ground dimmed instantly, its light flickering and then vanishing, leaving only a dark, scorched outline on the stone. Panic flared in my chest, a cold, sharp contrast to the lingering heat from the symbol. "What do you mean, we can't undo?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "What is that thing? Is it alive?" My gaze was fixed on the faint, ashen trace of the symbol. It was a scar on the world, a permanent reminder of an unstable power. Danny swallowed, her knuckles white as she gripped her arms. "I don't know," she confessed, her voice tight with fear, "but the last one, that last one, I lost control. I drew a wheel just on a whim. I spun it, and I swear I saw a sky full of things that weren't stars." A shiver ran down my spine, more chilling than the thought of a scorched stone floor. This was no magic trick. This was something ancient, something dangerous, and Danny had just told me she was the vessel for a power she couldn't control. The stick, lying innocent on the ground, suddenly looked less like a tool and more like a fuse. Danny seemed calm, more calm than I was, Where I had concern and a dark foreboding, she seemed to have wonder and curiosity. I swallowed hard, the dry, sandy air suddenly thick in my throat. My gaze flicked from her placid face to the charred circle on the ground, a stark testament to the force she had just unleashed. It was a chilling contradiction, her serene expression versus the raw, destructive power that now lay coiled within her. "Danny, what do you mean, lost control?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, the question tasting like ashes on my tongue. "What exactly happens when you draw something?" Her eyes, wide and clear, met mine, reflecting a flicker of that intense, bright energy. A small, almost mischievous smile touched her lips, completely at odds with the gravity of her confession. "I don't know yet," she said, her tone full of that unnerving wonder. "But isn't it amazing? If you like the story so far, and would like to hear more, please like and subscribe. Maybe leave a complimentary comment too. If this is well received, I will continue Wyler's tale. Thank you for listening."